And they came back and they advised the Nabi alayhi salam. But it doesn't stop there. There was one particular Sahabi that was again sent on a mission. And this particular mission was to assassinate one particular man by the name of Khalid. He was also a nuisance and was creating he was actually building quite a large rebellion, quite a large movement against the Ummah at that time. And so the Nabi alayhi salam sent, and I believe his name is Ala, I'm not, the names I've gone from my memory now, but he basically sent him and he said to him, I want you to go there, and when you see this man, I want you to assassinate him. And he said, Ya Rasulullah, how am I supposed to know what he looks like? I've never seen this man. He said, when you see him, you'll know it's him, because you'll be scared. He'll be surrounded by women. Men will look up to him, and he has curly hair. Sounds like every Arab, to be honest with you, but anyway. So, this particular Sahabi was walking in the direction of where Khalid was building the rebellion. And he saw one particular man that everybody was paying attention to. And immediately he felt the presence of this man, and the fear was struck his heart straight away. And he knew that was the man he had to kill. Now you can imagine these Sahabi, Wallahi, yani, Allahumma rada anhum. Allah Azza wa Jalla says, radiyallahu anhum wa radu anhum. Truly, truly, truly. They have the rida, the blessings, of Allah Azza wa Jalla, and they're happy with their Lord, and their Lord is happy with them. Because look at the extent with which they went to. They would walk into enemy territory alone. And that enemy territory could be hundreds of meters away, or it could be in another country. It could be across an ocean. And they would go alone, one or two. And they knew the net effect. The net effect was they're not coming home. But they went. They believed in the message. So this particular Sahabi knew that was Khalid. So he walked up to him. And the problem was, it was time for Asr. Now if this Sahabi stops and prays Asr in front of Khalid, what's Khalid going to say? He's going to say, look at him, he's a Muslim, kill him. And he doesn't want to lose Asr. So he goes, Ya Allah, what do? I want Asr. I want to pray Asr. And Asr, as you know, should be prayed on time. In particular. And he's got this man in front of him that's looking at him because he knows he's a stranger. So this Sahabi actually started walking forward and was praying as he was walking. And he was making shahada as his hands were down. He was making the tahiyyah and ashhadu an la ilaha illallah subhana rabbil a'la, and just moving his head. And Khalid's looking at him, and he's looking at Khalid, and he's walking towards him. And when it came time, you're not going to believe this, when it came time to assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, he actually hugged him here and he hugged him there. And then he struck him. And he started to walk away, and nobody realized, because this Khalid was in shock. So he actually managed to pray and assassinate a man almost at the same time. So the Sahabi went without their own fantastical experiences that we think to ourselves, how? How? These companions of Rasulullah, subhanallah, what they went through and the commitment they had, to the point where in the middle of an assassination attempt, they would squeeze in Asr. They would squeeze it in. We've got problems squeezing in Asr between pressing pause and pressing play. But the stories aren't just with the Sahabi. The stories are also with our brothers and our sisters across the Muslim Ummah. One particular brother that I find his stories quite fascinating is a Turkish man by the name of Mimar Sinan. And Mimar Sinan, and Mimar means the builder. In Arabic it's Mi'marji. And it comes from the root word Amr, to Amir, to build. And Mimar, and Sinan is his surname, Mimar Sinan, built arguably the best collection of mosques and buildings in the history of Islam. Definitely one of, if not the greatest architect the Islamic history had seen. Once when he was building a mosque, the children outside the mosque had realized that one of the minarets, now just to give you an example about the minarets in Turkey, the minarets are very tall and thin, and with some with single balconies, some with 2 balconies, and some with 3 balconies on the minarets. And the domes are magnificent. There's many of them. And as he was building it, the mosque, and I believe it was Sulaymaniye, under the instruction of Sultan Sulaiman. And this particular Mimar Sinan had actually served 3 sultans in his lifetime. And he finished his last mosque at the age of 83, and he said, I have now completed my apprenticeship. 83. And the children outside the mosque, as he was building it, had realized that one of the minarets had actually fallen slightly to the left. It was leaning to the left. And they called Mimar Sinan over. And they said, Hoja, that minaret is leaning to the left a little. And Mimar Sinan looked at the minaret and he said, you're right. So he called the chief builder, what you would call in today's terms a foreman. He said to him, get some rope, tie it to the top of the minaret. So they got rope, and lots of rope, because these minarets are very, very tall. Sometimes, like the ones I had seen, 20, 30 meters up. So they would send a man up there, and he would tie ropes to the top of the minaret. Maybe a dozen ropes would come down. Massive ropes. Each rope the thickness of your thigh. And he would come down. And Mimar Sinan looked to the children, he said, which way do we pull to correct the minaret? And they said, to the right, Hoja, to the right. It's got to go to the right more. It's falling. Like the leaning tower of Pisa, this is the leaning minaret of Sulaiman. And it was leaning to the left. He said, you got to pull to the right. It's going to fall down. So the men pulled the rope to the right, heaving and pulling and trying their best. And you can imagine trying to adjust a minaret that's concrete and brick is not easy. Until the children said, Hoja, stop, that's enough. In fact, you've moved too far. Go take it back the other way. So they adjusted again the other way until Mimar Sinan said, are you happy now? Is it right? And they said, yeah, it's right. And Mimar Sinan looked at it and goes, no, it looks good, it looks good. And they all agreed, the children and Mimar Sinan agreed that the minaret is now straight. And the children continued on their way. And the foreman had actually come back to Mimar Sinan and he said, Hoja, have a coffee, seriously. Have a coffee. He said, well, just relax for a second, because I'm going to tell you this, you're going to be happy. But that minaret didn't go anywhere. It's basically one big rock. It's in the ground. 20 meters in the ground. Literally resting on a massive bed of concrete that's been resting there for 7 years before we constructed the minaret. It's got that much brick in it, and it's that tall, it weighs that much, and it's connected to the entire structure. If you move the minaret, you move the whole mosque. The minaret went nowhere. We didn't go right and it didn't go left. What are you talking about? Why did you waste our time? And the builder's got a point, because as you know, if you tied rope to your chimney and you pulled it, it's not going anywhere. And Mimar Sinan looked at the the foreman, and he said to him, see, this is the difference between me and you. Whilst you're concerned with a building, I'm concerned with the confidence of our next generation. If they say to me it's leaning, it's leaning. At least now they walk away and they know that they adjusted the minaret of this mosque. So he was focused on the confidence and the character of the next generation. In fact, I don't know anyone, Muslim or non-Muslim, Turkish or non-Turkish, who's been to Turkey, who didn't look at the mosques and fall in love with the structure. And the only effect after that is awe at what Islam was at that time. In fact, almost every Roznama, almost every calendar of Salah has on it a Turkish mosque. Because it represents that strength, that confidence, that character. Who did they think they are to build buildings like that in front of the Europeans? Who do they think they are? Building enormous buildings like that. They're making a statement. And that statement exists to this very day. And you get that statement and that confidence when you look at that mosque. When you go and see it in person, you almost want to fall to your knees and you want to perform rak'atain salah. You're in shock at the magnificence of what it was.